Hey guys, wanted to do like a seed care video, so I figured I'd just do from harvest to growing to seedlings, and I'm going to be doing a lot of things with one hand, so keep that in mind. But here I am collecting berries off of a Zara Thomas Michelle hybrid. You can see here it's a pretty great harvest, lots and lots of berries. These berries will contain either one or two seeds. And getting the seeds out is really easy. They just pop right out. What I prefer to do in this scenario is to open them with water. But they really do come apart that easy. They're just a bit slimy at this stage. And real quick, just want to show you that even as you start to harvest, there's still going to be some left behind for a while. That's fine. Don't try and force them out. Honestly, usually within a week of that initial berry kind of popping free, the rest will be ready. But here is how I actually pop the berries. I put them in water and I tend to push them up against the side of the glass and then just pop the seeds right out, because when I do it this way, it's really safe and the seeds get washed right away. I just find that really easy. Here's what I usually send seeds in. So these are just little condiment containers, either containing sphagnum moss or tree fern, and they're great. You can leave the seeds in there underneath a grow light for a long time, basically until those seeds sprout and touch the top of the container, which can take about a month. Once they outgrow that, you want to move them into a larger container. So here I have these little ones I bought, but honestly, for the most part, I just use like old Chinese food takeout containers, and I'm using tree fern here, which is my favorite substrate to use, because even if you keep this substrate too wet, the worst I've seen form really is just some algae at the bottom. For the most part, it's really easy to just keep hydrated without running into any additional issues. When you use sphagnum moss, you can run into a lot of mold. Here's something I've let dried out. You can see there was tons of algae still on there. I've let this sphagnum moss dry out to see if it would get rid of it. It doesn't, so I have to water this right away. But I'll show you an example of when sphagnum moss just gets really gross. So here you can see there's kind of like slime mold growing up top there, and that can attract tons of fungus gnats and eventually be bad for root growth. There's algae all over this bag. Don't get me wrong, these seedlings are for the most part fine, but you're just introducing some extra risks that you don't need. If you're going to monitor sphagnum moss often, it'll be fine. So like here's one where I just missed when it's dry, and you can see that nothing really else has grown here. But let me show you how I would love to have all my seedlings. So here's a clear shoebox. I'm going to be putting a base layer of about like an inch or so of tree fern. Tree fern is a really, really great substrate. I use it for all my seedlings at this point. If there's anything chunky in there, make sure you remove that, because you don't want that with some of these young seedlings. But I will lay that base layer and then just mist it down. Like, you don't want water pooling at the bottom, but especially if you have an inch thick of this, you really just got to spray it down pretty good, because you want to get it nice and moist. So here's an example of that hydration level that I want. You can see there's really not too much built up at the bottom. Some of the tree fern that's all the way at the base is still a little bit dry, so that will disperse across as you give it time. And then from there, I'm ready to put some seeds on this. So here's a lot of those seeds you saw me harvest earlier of all those berries. I've now popped tons of berries and have them ready to go. So from there, you really just sprinkle them on. The seeds will get stuck to your hand a lot, so I kind of just like flick them onto the substrate. Very difficult to do with one hand. So I'll just show you a couple examples here, and then I will fast forward to when it's finished. But you can see just kind of throwing them all around. Now I've filled this entire shoebox with those seeds. It's better if they're not touching, but honestly, I was doing this when I needed to get out of the house pretty soon, so throw them all over. You can always just go back with a tweezer. They're less sensitive than you think, and you can organize them. So for now, all I'm going to do is put a lid on this. I'm not going to, since I don't have any air holes in this, I can keep it just like this for quite some time. So going to put it near a grow light. I always say you pretty much can't give them too much light at this early age. I will spray it down whenever it gets dry. I'll start fertilizing as soon as I start seeing a first leaf form. But yeah, this was kind of a mad rambling about what I do with seeds, but for the most part, I hope you get the point. You can see here I'm using tree fern for these seedling pots as well, because I know I love the stuff and I think it's just so much easier to work with. And especially when you're potting this many seeds at once, the fact that you don't have to add in like a perlite or anything else comes in super handy. So Not the most organized video I've ever done, but I think it gives a good overview of how I take care of my seeds. And if you have any questions, please let me know.